Right now at 6, a crash into a Longview apartment leaves several people seriously hurt and forces rescue crews to break out the chainsaws. What we're learning this evening about the driver. Plus, same name, different tactics?
Really believe in the importance and purpose of maintaining public safety, peace and order at these events.
What the Portland Police Bureau says it's learned when it comes to planning for protests. Then, officials close a popular trail after a hiker comes face to face with a cougar.
It's actually very unusual and very rare for people to see cougars generally. They're very elusive. They normally don't want to be around people, but wildlife can be unpredictable.
And the KGW Solutions Project highlights how a local community is helping keep kids who are homeless safe.
Almost every day there'll be something fun coming in.
The converted motel that provides much more than shelter. A very good evening, everyone. We begin at 6 with a developing story in Longview where 2 people are in critical condition after a van went off the road, hit a pedestrian, and then crashed into an apartment building. This is new video just into the KGW newsroom from the scene on 7th Avenue. The pedestrian who was hit and a woman who lives in the apartment and was trapped by rubble were both taken to Peace Health St. John Medical Center. That is after first responders jumped into action.
The battalion chief started giving out things he recommended we do, and we just went to work, right? So, because preservation of life is first and foremost, even though there's this collision and an investigation to do, there was life to preserve, and that's what we went to work doing.
That includes using chainsaws to get the woman out of the apartment. Police say the driver of the van, who they describe as an elderly man, may have suffered a medical event. He was also taken to the hospital in stable condition. Other people who live in the building had to evacuate because of concerns over stability there. We will keep you posted. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We continue this evening with Portland Police officially bringing back its rapid response team in an election year where the Rose City has already seen some political protests. Blair Best joins us live downtown. And Blair, the unit has the same name and some of the same officers who responded to the 2020 protests. So I'm curious to know what's different.
Well, David, we know the Portland Police Bureau was highly criticized for its use of excessive force during the 2020 protests. And the Police Bureau says there's a line when protest turns destructive. So they're going through a lot of training to make sure they know how to best respond to those situations. Now, the Portland Police Bureau, along with other major city police forces, don't always have the best track record when it comes to responding to violent protests. In 2020, the Bureau was hit with lawsuits over their use of force, prompting the entire rapid response team's resignation. That's the team that worked during the protests. A city audit later found shortcomings in the Bureau's response to protests. Now, one of the recommendations in that report was creating a new crowd control unit. The unit, still called Rapid Response, starts team training this week. 50 existing officers and sergeants are on the team, and they're required to go through 96 hours of yearly training, focused on de-escalation techniques and use of force, among other things.
Our expectations are high. We expect officers to embody their training and engage with the community with integrity as well as with resolve.
And we don't have to ignore the events of 2020 and 2021. I think the Police Bureau has demonstrated through this process that you heard today, we are a learning organization. We seek outside input, outside counsel, leadership, etc. We have made changes, but the reality is we're going forward.
Now, a civil rights attorney at the Oregon Justice Center who represented some of the protesters is cautious of the return of the rapid response team, telling KGW in a statement, in part, quote, "We're going to be repeating past mistakes and people will be hurt because of it." Now, city officials are calling on the community to do their part too. They say this is not just a Portland Police Bureau issue. The mayor is asking people to demonstrate passionately yet peacefully. Now, the rapid response team begins training together tomorrow. David?
Yeah, we'll see how it all works out. Thank you, Blair. Appreciate it. In your headlines now, a Gresham Recovery Center was damaged overnight when an SUV crashed into its front entrance. This was the Coda Outpatient Recovery Center at Southeast 182nd and Market. Authorities say the driver was trying to evade a traffic stop and then ran off after crashing. Police say they did not chase the driver and the suspect has not been found. Crews also had to clear trees and put up wooden planks to help support the building. A Southern Oregon nurse accused of harming dozens of patients by replacing fentanyl with tap water is now facing criminal charges. Danny Marie Schofield was arrested today in Medford after a grand jury indicted her on 44 counts of second-degree assault. That is one count for each patient she allegedly harmed over a 12-month period at Asante Rogue Medical Center. Prosecutors say she stole fentanyl intended for ICU patients and replaced it with unsterile tap water that caused infections. Some of the patients later died, but Medford police said their investigation showed the deaths could not be directly attributed to those infections. The family of one of the patients who died has filed an $11 million wrongful death suit against Asante. In health headlines as well, Clark County officials are warning about a rise in whooping cough cases. They're currently 4 times higher compared to this time last year, with the majority in people who have not been vaccinated. Whooping cough, which is also known as pertussis, is a serious respiratory illness that can spread easily. Symptoms can mimic a common cold, but after a week or two can lead to violent coughing fits where people struggle to breathe. Oregon officials have also reported a significant rise in pertussis cases this year. And ODOT will be shutting down a stretch of I-84 to clean up graffiti and garbage for an 11-hour period on July 13th and 14th. All lanes of I-84 in both directions will close between I-5 and I-205. That is a 7-mile stretch. Max and freight trains in the area will also be suspended. And northbound I-5 over the Markham Bridge will also close for bridge maintenance. ODOT, Union Pacific Railroad, TriMet, PBOT, Metro, and Multnomah County are all teaming up for the cleanup. Matt?
Wow, plan now, because that's going to be a big deal, right? Hey, this is really cool. Up at Timberline now, looking south from our camera at Timberline Lodge, Mount Hood National Forest, some really great cloud formations, and they tell a story. And I'll explain that to you a little bit later on when I show you the satellite imagery of those very same clouds. It's pretty cool. 55 degrees up at 6,000 feet. Here in Portland, we made 76 today. That is above average by a couple degrees, so right there in the ballpark, well below the record of 97. And our rainfall surplus keeps shrinking because we haven't had any rain for a while yet, right? But that rainfall surplus is going to grow this weekend. Look at our rainfall forecast. Now, this is through tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. Basically nothing, maybe 1/100 of an inch late, like 10 o'clock or so tomorrow night. But from tomorrow night, midnight roughly, through Saturday night at 9 o'clock, we pick up about 1/3 of an inch of rain, according to the modeling. The good news is this. Watch what happens from Saturday night to Sunday night, so Father's Day. That number doesn't move at all, indicating no additional rain on Sunday. But then on Monday, it begins to ramp up yet again. So we'll go into this more in just a bit. For tomorrow, lots of sunshine till late in the day. It'll be cooler with a high of 71. Still looking at showers for Father's Day weekend, mainly on Saturday, more on Sunday itself in a bit, David.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Now at 6, a cougar sighting has shut down a popular trail in the Columbia River Gorge after a hiker says they were followed by a big cat on the Angels Rest Trail. Ashley Grahams joins us live from the trailhead. So Ashley, what are wildlife officials telling you?
You can see the warning here for hikers, sharing just a few details about this encounter, and this sign actually calling that cougar aggressive, something the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife says is very rare. A warning greets hikers at the Angels Rest Trailhead in the Columbia River Gorge.
There's a little sign that says cougar something sighting.
A hiker encountered a cougar here on Tuesday.
I don't know how I'd handle if a cougar just showed up.
The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife closed the trail later the same day.
The trail runner encountered this cougar and it actually attempted to take a swipe at the runner with its paw. And the cougar then followed the runner on the trail for about 1/4 mile.
Beth Quinlan with ODFW says this kind of encounter is rare.
Generally, they're very elusive. They normally don't want to be around people, but wildlife can be unpredictable.
But cougars living in the Columbia River Gorge isn't rare.
This is very close to Angel's Rest.
Ralph Bloomers has photographed the gorge and its wildlife for the past 7 years. His dozens of cameras capture moments like this, from Cascade Locks to Angel's Rest. His most recent cougar sighting was less than a month ago.
It brings me great joy to know that they're thriving out there.
But he's also aware of the dangers and cautions anyone who visits to understand what they're stepping into.
There are cougars and deer and elk and bear and all kinds of critters, right? And we're going into their home.
A reminder to be prepared and know how to protect yourself.
So yell at the cougar, clap your hands, anything that you can do to make noise.
The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife says they don't know yet when exactly they're going to reopen this trail or any of the trails kind of in that web leading up to Angel's Rest. They say human safety is top priority. David?
Yeah, close call and a good reminder. Thank you, Ashley. OHSU has started notifying employees that they will be laid off this summer, part of major cuts throughout the hospital system. And now KGW has learned much of the first round is focused on research positions. OHSU plans to lay off at minimum 500 workers. The cuts come as the hospital is finalizing a merger with Legacy Health. Madeline Hedberg, a research assistant in an OHSU lab that studies pancreatic cancer, is one of the workers getting a pink slip. She says employees thought the merger meant OHSU was financially healthy, but now coworkers are worried they could be next.
Sure, this may be a great investment down the line, but right now you're losing the people that are actually keeping your research running. The employees are what make OHSU what it is, and I don't think someone's going to look at OHSU and think we're great because the president finally has a retirement that's like up to market value. We're like, OHSU is great because of the research that we do and the healthcare we provide.
Hedberg says she's hoping to get a new job in a different lab with more grant funding. OHSU says the cuts are due to growing expenses in supplies and labor. Straight ahead at 6 on this Thursday, it's like a shelter and school combined. The solution in Washington County this summer, giving homeless families and their kids a comfortable place to live and learn. Plus, TriMet shows its pride to look at the colorful new bus that could be rolling up to a stop near you. And coming up at 6:30, a look at a group Pat Doris calls the superheroes of state government. We're talking about the auditors, what they had to say about how the state's spending money on everything from low-income families to the Liquor Control Commission. That's ahead at 6:30 on The Story, only here on KGW.